All of the work I'm making really stems from one simple idea, and that is to make visible through art the relationships between our minds and our physical surroundings. How is our psychology evidenced in the physical things around us? I have to have everything in its perfect location. The objects that are in my home, my studio, I keep very organized in very specific locations. And if something is moved even 1/8 of an inch, I notice it and I have to put it back in its correct location. Why am I compelled to always be organizing things, straightening things? That made me think, okay, I've got to learn more about this compulsion that I have. When I go out into the world, I see things as either organized or disorganized. When I think about my pieces, I want to reinvent what you already see, or I should say, represent it to you. We take our environments for granted. We see these things over and over and over again. Let's say you have a wall that's 20 feet long. You take 4 or 5 things and you put them up on the wall. Automatically, you look at those 4 objects or 5 objects and you say, oh, that's a group. But so what's creating that grouping? There's nothing there other than your mind that makes them into a group. And I thought that's interesting. So our minds create these imaginary boundaries around groupings of things. And I thought of that in relationship to the sort of idealized state of perfection that's in my mind, or people like me with this compulsion for perfect order. By reducing the objects down to their essence, I can represent an environment you've probably seen 1,000 times, or an object that you've seen 1,000 times, completely in a fresh new way, as though they're seeing it for that first time. In life, perfection is, I believe, unattainable, but in art, I can actually achieve that perfection that I seek in my mind. This piece, which is called Self-Portrait Number 1, this one is not so much about perfection as it is about order. I was able to introduce more of these minimalist concepts about repetition, the way we have the multiple cubes. It's all exactly the same cube. It's all the same exact perspective in each of these cubes. The reason I put each cube with the same one-point perspective is to really focus the viewer's attention on that individual space, the way I do when I'm actually putting those objects on that shelf, what that thing looks like within that cube. To build on my academic research, I wanted to go into other spaces that were not just my own. I also wanted to investigate the extreme opposite, and so I started to learn about hoarding disorder. The first home I went into was a man named Edward, who was an informational hoarder. The environment was overwhelming to me. The piles were so large that there were little paths to go through. I took maybe about 2,000 photographs, and these photographs have become a very important part of my process. These people's collections were really a physical extension of their personalities. As I make paintings that are based on those environments, I really want to try to capture that essence. They're not just paintings of people's possessions, but they are portraits of their mind in a way. Talking about my own compulsion, which was such a clear relationship between my mind and my physical surrounding, and then the people affected by the hoarding disorder, there again, because you can clearly see those relationships. Anybody can see that. So I thought that this was a great starting point to sort of delve further into those ideas of mind and matter and the relationships between the two.